Starting an LLC in Wyoming can save you money, protect your assets, and is much easier than most people think. But one wrong move can cause major delays or worse, get your application denied. If this is your first time forming a business, this video here will walk you through every step so that you can get it right the first time without wasting time or money. That said, there is one early mistake that will effectively destroy your privacy if you aren't careful, but we'll cover more about that here in a minute. First, let's go ahead and make sure that you understand if Wyoming is actually a good place for your LLC. All right, so Wyoming is a top choice for launching an LLC thanks to its no state income tax, strong privacy protections, and low startup costs. You get to keep more of your profits, unlike states with high taxes, because neither you nor your LLC has to pay state income tax. Wyoming LLCs also offer some of the nation's strongest protections against creditors, shielding your assets from lawsuits. And setting things up is easy, fast online filing, minimal paperwork, and lower fees than most states, just $100 to start. That's why so many entrepreneurs from all over the US are starting LLCs in Wyoming, not just the locals. So if you want privacy, profits, and protection, Wyoming is a hard state to beat. But if you think that picking an LLC business name is simple, think again. There are rules and rookie mistakes to avoid. And next, we'll cover what can actually make or break your launch when it comes to a name. But before we jump in too deep here, here's one thing to keep in mind. Starting your business, it should be exciting, not overwhelming. But forming an LLC yourself, that can get really confusing fast with all the legal forms, rules, and easy to miss details. Now, I will walk you through everything in this video, but if any part of this feels confusing, I've got a favorite LLC formation service that makes the whole process super simple and stress-free. It's guided, beginner-friendly, and it only costs $39. So if you hit any bumps along the way during the video, just click right up here to get step-by-step help setting up your LLC the easy way. All right, so now let's go ahead and get back to the business name. So naming your LLC sounds simple, but Wyoming has some strict rules that you definitely need to watch out for. First, your business name has to be totally unique. So even small tweaks like changing, Pizza Guys LLC to Pizza Guys with a Z LLC won't fly if the state thinks that it could confuse customers or copy another business. The name also has to end with LLC, LLC, limited liability company, or an approved abbreviation. Also, some words are completely off limits unless you have special permission. So for example, you can't use terms like, bank, trust, college, anything that, sounds government related without written approval from Wyoming authorities. Even filler words like, the, a, and, they won't make your name unique. Then before filing, always run a quick search on the Wyoming Secretary of State's business name database, which by the way is linked to below, along with every other resource that I mentioned in the video to check availability. Imagine picking, what you thought was a creative name and then getting rejected because a similar business already exists. That's a headache and nobody wants it, so make sure you avoid it. All right, so let's assume that you already checked on the name, you're all good there, right? Let's move on to the next step, which can help protect your privacy, but also make sure that your LLC stays in good standing with the state. Every Wyoming LLC is legally required to have a registered agent with a physical address in the state who can accept legal documents during business hours. So PO boxes are out and the agent must actually be available if something official comes in. Now you could serve as your own agent if you live there, but this puts your name and home address on public record, your business address, which opens you to junk mail, spam, and your privacy is basically done at that point. And most business owners, they avoid this hassle with a professional service. So personally, my preferred provider is Northwest Registered Agent, which I've used before myself. They're known for their strong privacy protections, excellent customer support, and straightforward pricing. If you hire them to help form your LLC, the cost is only $39. And one of the best perks of using them is that you can use their business address on your public filings, which helps keep your personal address private and cuts down on all the junk mail and potentially visitors, etc. If you do want to check them out, go ahead and click right up here to learn more about them. Now next, let's walk through the official paperwork that'll actually put your LLC on the map in Wyoming, which is the Articles of Organization. Okay, so now comes the official birth certificate for your business, right? Filing the Articles of Organization with the Wyoming Secretary of State. So this document legally forms your LLC, and it's a lot simpler than most people expect. You'll need your LLC's name with LLC or a similar ending, the name and physical address of your registered agent, your business's main address, and a designated email address for official state communication. You'll also need an original signature from you or another organizer, and the agent must sign their own consent form. And good news, you can file online for instant processing or by mail if you prefer. Again, the state only charges a flat $100 fee, which is among the lowest in the country. And Wyoming doesn't require member or manager names or addresses in the public record either, just the organizer and the registered agent info, which is pretty awesome. and keeps your privacy intact. Now, once approved, your LLC is legally recognized and you're all set. But up next, let's talk about creating an operating agreement, which is a step that is optional in Wyoming, but smart for nearly every business out there. Okay, so even though Wyoming doesn't legally require an operating agreement for LLCs, smart business owners use one to keep things organized and avoid drama down the line. This is your LLC's rule book, if you will, laying out who owns what, decision-making powers, how profits are split, and what happens if someone leaves or joins. Banks and investors often ask to see an operating agreement before opening a business account, so it's helpful for both single-member and multi-member LLCs. And don't worry, you don't need to be a lawyer for this step either. You can quickly create an agreement using AI, download free templates, or use services like LegalZoom to get started. Just make sure that all members sign it and keep copies in your records. Now, this simple document could save you tons of stress if things pop up later. All right, so next let's focus on getting your EIN. So this next move gives your LLC its own business identity and unlocks more opportunities from a financial perspective. So now it's time to give your LLC its own business social security number, as they call it, by getting an EIN from the IRS. An EIN is essential for handling taxes, hiring employees, opening a business bank account, and keeping your personal info separate from your business. Even if you're running a single member LLC with no employees, most banks require an EIN before letting you open a business checking account. And the process is straightforward and totally free. So head over to the IRS website, fill out the online application, and you'll usually have your EIN in about 15 minutes. If you prefer, you can also send in the IRS form SS4 by mail or fax, or use a service to do it for you. Once you've got your EIN, keep that number safe as you use it for taxes, payroll, permits, and just about everything official for your business. Now, up next, let's break down compliance obligations so that you'll always keep your Wyoming LLC in good standing. Now, Wyoming makes LLC maintenance refreshingly simple. Each year, you need to file an annual report with the Secretary of State. So think of that as kind of like a quick check-in to keep your business active and meet state requirements. The annual report is due by the first day of your business's anniversary month. So for example, a June LLC files June 1st of every year. The fee is just $60 if your LLC owns $300,000 or less in Wyoming assets. And for higher value businesses, you'll pay 0.02% of the total assets in the state. So that means like if you had $1 million in assets, that means a $200 fee. And you can file conveniently online or by mail. Online processing is instant, and the state will even send you reminder emails so you don't miss your deadline. And forgetting to file, that starts a countdown. So after about 60 days, the state dissolves your LLC. And you'll need to pay a reinstatement fee to get legal status back, which is no good. Wyoming also has no state-level business license, but local governments or certain industries like food service, construction, they may require a permit or license, with costs ranging from $150 to $650, depending on your city and the business type. Now, thankfully, there's no state income tax in Wyoming, and that means more money stays in your pocket each year. But staying compliant is pretty easy, and there are plenty of services that'll handle annual reports and reminders if you want extra peace of mind. Now up next, let's break down the real startup and ongoing costs of running a Wyoming LLC so you have zero surprises along the way. Okay, so here's a practical look at what it'll cost to launch and run your LLC in Wyoming. So we'll start with startup costs. Your articles of organization, required $100 one-time fee paid to the state. Registered agent service, optional but highly recommended. $39 for the first year if you opt for Northwest Registered Agent, which is super cheap considering they'll also help you form your LLC too. Next, your name reservation, that's optional, $30 to hold your business name. Only pay this if you want to claim a name before forming your LLC and don't have time to do all the paperwork right away. Next, local business licenses and permits, $150 to $650 depending on your location and industry. You have to confirm this with your county or city for an exact figure. But the estimated startup total, most people pay between $250 to $400 for the first year, assuming you need the basic filings and a local license. If you need extras like name reservations or have crazy permits, the total can go up slightly. Next, your ongoing costs. So your annual report license tax, that is $60 per year for most LLCs, or 0.02% of Wyoming assets if assets exceed $300,000. Your registered agent, $125 per year if you use Northwest Registered Agent to stay in compliance. License and permit renewals, well, this varies again by business location and industry, but your estimated annual total typically is about $100 to $200 per year for most LLCs, including the annual state report and a registered agent service. Now, local licenses, they may add a bit more, but this range, really covers routine business needs. Now, again, to help with all this, I do advise you to use a service like Northwest Registered Agent. which again, you can click right up here to check out, is they really will help you stay in compliance year after year while you focus on running a profitable business. If you have any questions for me or you're a little bit confused about the process, no problem. Just drop a comment below and I will do my absolute best to help you out as soon as possible. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.